I think if you think about things and try and make them happen, they do tend to happen. I always loved Cape Breton, even from the earliest of ages. We'd spend our summers in Cape Breton, so we'd come down and, fish and go to the beach and things like that. We started coming down quite regularly, and, that, love affair with Cape Breton just kind of was rekindled. It was sort of always a back burner dream to get back here. And we always talked about buying property here. We've been here for 3 years and we found a really incredible community of friends. Our kids are in the school just over the hill, and it's a great place to live and it's a great place to work.
Let's head down home to picturesque East Margaree in Cape Breton, where strong community spirit and nature surround everyday life. Today we'll meet Liam O'Rourke at Larch Wood Enterprises. Known for creating environmentally conscious, stunning, and functional cutting boards, their artistry is celebrated worldwide, and each board is crafted locally, right here next to the beautiful Margaree River. So let's explore the craft and heart behind this exceptional local gem.
Liam, did you grow up here in Margaree?
I did not grow up in Margaree, no. I was born in a town called North Sydney, which is about an hour away, so from Cape Breton. But I grew up outside of Halifax, so we moved when I think it was 4. To a town called Fall River, so just outside of Halifax, and I grew up there.
Did you kind of always think that you'd want to be living in, rural Nova Scotia, or did you want to kind of branch out and go different places?
I always loved Cape Breton, even from from the earliest of ages. In part, I guess just because my mom's family was here, we'd spend our summers in Cape Breton, so we'd come down and, fish and go to the beach and things like that. So those are always really fond memories. And then when I met my partner, who's from the Margaree Valley, or her family, I should say, is from the Margaree Valley, we started coming down quite regularly, and that love affair with Cape Breton just kind of was rekindled. And I was running a company in Dartmouth and looking for some wood out of Cape Breton to make a boardroom table, actually. I came down to visit my wife's uncle, chatted with him about it, and I came to this location and was chatting with the fella that was running it at that time, and said to him, after we'd gone through the factory, talked about doing business together, we were actually walking around in the yard out here, and I said, well, this is a pretty cool spot. If you're ever ready to retire, let me know. We've got connections to the community. And I think he called me a week later and was like, are you ready? Because I'm just about ready to retire. I think it was about 3 years after that initial conversation that we ended up finding a way to make it happen. And then so we moved here, built my own house. That was always a dream of mine. And then started working here. The rest is history.
How does it feel to be able to have those childhood experiences that were so important to you, coming here, fishing, being in the smaller community, and now being able to have that for your children and watch them grow up in this community? What's that?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. The life that my kids have here, they go to a small school with, in an amazing community with great kids around. They live at the beach all summer. We live off-grid in the woods of Margaree on a brook with a beautiful waterfall that they can swim in every day. We've got a pretty good life. Gardens, all that stuff, chickens, and so they're getting a neat little rural upbringing experience, and I think that's good. So.
Wow, yeah, that sounds like the ideal life, actually. And it's great to have that foundation for them, because whether they decide to go out into the world and travel or do anything else, they always have a beautiful spot to come back to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, you know, given my wife's family's background here in the community, there's a lot of examples of that type of upbringing. So there was, yeah, a lot of folks that, you know, even lived off grid that we looked up to over the years, that we saw how their kids turned out. We weren't like recreating a wheel, we were kind of following in footsteps, I guess.
Liam, you started working here 3 years ago, and it was 3 years before that you even had the idea to come here. What was that like, that transition here? Tell me a little bit about Larch Wood, its history, and how it's been for you working here.
Yeah, so I mean, I did start working here 3 years ago. I didn't really know a ton about the business prior to that. My first interaction with the company was probably about 17 years ago. I came through the factory with my wife to buy a cutting board as a wedding present. Go back 3 years, started off here. I took over for a gentleman that had basically been here since the get-go. So he started the company with the owner of the company and our production manager, who's still with us. I inherited a company that was functioning really well, selling a really incredible product all over the world. So I knew I was getting into that. I didn't, at that point, really know exactly what the job was going to look like. And yeah, I'm pleased to say there's a little bit of everything. So I like getting involved in production. I like driving machines around. I like playing around with trying to fix machines and stuff like that. So there's a bit of that. There's a bit of travel. I have to travel around and do sales trips and stuff like that. So that's kind of nice because I get to live early. You know, I've been to Japan, Chicago, New York, things like that. At this point, we're producing almost twice as many cutting boards as we had been about 3 years ago.
And the company started, how many years ago did the company start?
So the company formally started as Larch Wood Enterprises in 2003. It's been a woodworking operation here since the 90s. From there, it transitioned into a flooring company. That's when they started working with Larch. And they made an edge grain countertop. So an edge grain countertop, if like in the production of our cutting board, you'll see that like we have blanks, and those blanks are basically edge grain cutting boards. So they cut out this, the story I like the best is they cut out a piece of a stove, and they made a cutting board for the owner out of it. And I think they were sitting down to eat turkey. They were sitting down to eat something with this edge grain cutting board, and that sat on the table, and they were looking at the end of it, and they were like, that's what we need to do, that end grain pattern. And so the origin story was essentially that they saw a beautiful pattern. Let's replicate that beautiful pattern, and that's kind of where that first Larch Wood board came from. So it's not just a beautiful cutting board, it's a cutting board that happens to be probably one of the best wooden cutting boards on the market for really high-end kitchen knives. So we still sell a lot of boards to, you know, museum shops and gift shops and places that just, you know, operate in the world of beautiful things. But then the other side of our business is in really high-end kitchen stores that sell super high-end kitchen knives. At this point, it's probably 50-50. So people buy our boards because they're beautiful, or people buy our boards because they're really, really good to use. Get these in here.
All right. I feel like you gave me the easier job. I only had to carry one.
I did go easy on you, but we are going to go back and get more.
Perfect. So this is the final product.
This is the final product, yeah.
And we're loading it up to take it to?
We're taking it to one of our retail outlets.
Okay.
So we have a couple of different retail outlets. One here at the factory upstairs,
Yep.
just kind of a small factory outlet. We have a kiosk, is what we call it. It's again a small building,
Yep.
but a mighty building that sells lots of cutting boards for us on the Cabot Trail. So that's open seasonally. And then we actually have a year-round business as well in Wolfville. And that's a kitchen knife store and a cutting board store that operates year-round.
Amazing. So it goes many places, but before it goes many places, one of which we will take it to today, what's the process from start to finish? You could take me through, you know, the journey to the cutting board.
So the journey starts with the log. The log is milled in our bandsaw mill. So we take the log down to 3 different widths of boards. Everything's the same thickness, so inch and an 8. So we take it down to either a 4-inch, a 6-inch, or an 8-inch board that gets stacked up into the various stacks that you'll probably see around the property. Those are brought over into our kiln. They're kiln dried down to about 9%, 7 to 9% moisture content. From the kiln, they are brought to a pop-up saw. The pop-up saw is basically where we're looking to create the various lengths of boards that we need for the various cutting boards. From there, it goes through a 2-sided planer, making things flat. That basically planes all the surfaces of the board. And some surfaces it planes more than once. And that's making a perfect stick in the golden rectangle. So if you see on the board, all of the boards are made up of this rectangle. So every cutting board that we make has the exact same dimension in the building block of it. That adheres to Fibonacci's ratio, which is kind of referred to as the golden rectangle for us. You can only get perfect lamination if you have a perfect stick. So then we go to a glue rack. They come down, they're sanded, they're planed to the right thickness. They then get cut on a table saw. They go through a couple of other sanding machines, and then they're ready for the final step of the process, which is getting the round over put onto them. They then also get the edges sanded, the brand put on the bottom, and then the feet attached. And once the feet are on, we add beeswax to the whole mix, and then we wrap it in plastic just to lock all that moisture in, so that, you know, sometimes, I mean, we ship all over the world, so a board going to China or to South Korea, it might be a couple months before it actually reaches the retailer's shelf. We want to make sure that it's in good condition when it gets there.
Wow, that is quite the process. And I love this grain is absolutely stunning. I mean, the boards are just beautiful, not only functional and high quality, but beautiful.
Yeah.
And so many different times that you're quality checking and making sure that it's going to be the perfect board. That's quite the process.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking me through all of that. And then from there, you and I pick them up and we load them into a truck and take them.
These are going to go into my truck, and we're going to drive them down to our kiosk. They need a few boards today, so we've got a couple here. We'll go grab a couple more, and then we'll head down there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Cecile, thank you so much for having me here to the Larch Wood kiosk, where we dropped off our cutting boards. So it was a fun little process to come here. How long have you worked for Larch Wood?
It'll be 18 years in October 26th.
18 years. So what are the different aspects that you've been involved in with Larch Wood in the last?
Well, I only work at the kiosk 1 day a week, and I'm greatly appreciated to get off the sanders. I do the sanding work at the factory 5 days a week.
Wow, okay, so you're part of that last part of the process.
Yes.
And then also the other last part of the process where we bring the cutting boards here to you.
Yes, to sell, just that one day a week.
It was a beautiful little trip over here to the kiosk. And what was the purpose? Why was the kiosk started to begin with?
We had a big high flood in the spring, I believe, in East Margaree where the factory is. And the owner decided to build a kiosk because we'd lose all the traffic for the summer. And then our sales will be way down. So he built this, and since then it's been full boom.
Full boom, yeah, and it's right on the Cape Breton
Yes.
Cabot Trail. So I can imagine, get a lot of people coming in.
Yes, we do. You can't miss it because you're coming from the Shore Road or East Margaree. So you gotta go by it.
That is a lovely spot, too.
It is. I just love it. Hopefully next year, maybe I'll be here twice a week, maybe.
Oh, we'll see.
Is that up to Liam?
Yeah, that's up to Liam.
Okay, well, it'll be nice to Liam.
Yes.
Cecile, you've been with the company for 18 years.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about the changes from then until now, the expansion and everything that's happened?
When I started, I just had one sander in the summer, a student, and myself. And the first year, I believe we did 3,300 boards.
Wow.
Now we're over 10, and I think last year was over 12. And if Liam doesn't know, but we're only 858 boards away from last year's total already at the end of September.
Wow. And Christmas season's coming too, so
Yes.
that has got to be a really big time for...
But now we're 5 full sanders
Wow.
most days, unless I'm here at the kiosk for one day a week.
Maybe 2.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Liam, what was it like coming to Larch Wood? You started working here 3 years ago. What was it like coming into a company that has so many established people who've been working here for quite a while?
That was a bit intimidating. I mean, Cecile's a bit scary sometimes, you know.
Really?
Other than the cakes that she brings to us on a bi-weekly basis, probably. Muffins, cupcakes. I would say, I mean, it's always, a bit nerve-wracking walking into a new building, a new factory, a whole new team. But a few hiccups along the way. But I think we've got a great team right now, and I'm really proud of where we're at. So,
Obviously, sustainability is a really important thing to you and to the company as well. Can you tell me how Larch Wood does that through the company, how they're making sure to stay sustainable?
yeah. So the wood that we use in our manufacturing process is eastern larch, tamarack, hackmatack, juniper. Depends on where you live, what you call it. I mean, historically, it would not be a desirable wood. So it would have been the type of wood that would have been cut down, left in the forest. Maybe farmers used it for fence posts, things like that. And so the original Larch Wood, the flooring company, they were looking for something to do with this wood. The flooring was the first iteration of it, and then the cutting board stemmed from that. And so, looking at Larch Wood now from a sustainability perspective, it's a tree that lives, around 90 to 120 years. For us, we're looking for trees that are harvested in that 60 to 90 year range. So trees that are essentially at the end of their life. The harvesting process, a lot of it is byproduct, so it's being cut down alongside other trees that are being used in pulp and paper. The forests are being fed by the branches and stuff like that come through that process, and we're using logs in our production that either would have been left behind or would have been used for biomass to make energy.
So you are using trees that would have been coming to an end of their life anyways and wouldn't have been able to be used for anything.
Well, I see lots of opportunities with Larch Wood now that we're getting more familiar with it. And like, I think the company was founded on that principle of, okay, we've got this wood, we can make flooring from it. The original cutting board, as I mentioned earlier, came from a countertop that was made for the owner of the company. And we've explored a lot of different products. The one that's worked the best and continues to work the best is the cutting board. But it's a great wood that I think, there are other opportunities that could come from it as well.
Absolutely. And you never know, because things start to change and people want, different things. Maybe people want more flooring again that's larch wood. Who knows? It could happen. So it's good. It's kind of exciting to see that there's still, you're doing something so well already.
Yeah.
And then who knows what the other opportunities are.
Yeah, I know one thing we're playing around with right now is there's a sister species called Japanese larch that we received a bunch of it that had been test planted in the Highlands, and there's plantations of it all around Eastern Canada. And it's a lot like cedar, but it's a lot cheaper. The only real product that I know being made from it right now is fence posts. And we've been playing around. I've got a prototype sauna that I've been building to see if there might be something like that we could come from that.
Exciting. It's exciting that you can sort of, keep looking towards the future and see how you can continue to expand, and everything you're doing already is beautiful. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Thank you.
It's incredible that you can just walk right from the kiosk and be right next to Margaree Harbor. So beautiful and relaxing. What are some of your favorite things about this community?
Well, I think you can walk out just about any door in Margaree and have a vista, maybe not just like this, but just as beautiful as this. It's a community that, especially if you love being outside, there's so much to do. I mean, fishing in the river, you can, like right here, you can fish for striped bass, salmon, trout, mackerel out of the harbor, a little further out. There's beaches around. I mean, obviously the people are amazing. We found ourselves, we've been here for 3 years, and we found a really incredible community of friends. Our kids are in the school just over the hill, and it's a great place to live, and it's a great place to work.
Yeah, and also a great place to raise kids. I mean, you work here, but your kids are just over the hill, and they get to go to a small school and experience all those incredible outdoor activities that you can when you live in a place like this.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the summertime it's a lot of beach time for sure, but also like paddling on the rivers. I mean, we've been out a bunch of times this year. My kids are just getting to that age where we can really get out like a little bit further. So, bigger hikes, climbing mountains, all the fun stuff that you do when you get to get outside.
Is there a lot of community events that happen kind of in the...
Yeah, I mean, the community here in Margaree is incredibly strong. There's wonderful events that happen all the time. I mean, one coming up this weekend, the Writers Festival. There's community events like right across the harbor is where Bellcoat Days take place. East Margaree has their own activities, the Highland Games. There's a lot of amazing stuff that goes on.
No shortage of stuff to do here.
Yeah.
What a beautiful place to live and also get to raise your kids too.
Absolutely.
Now that you've been able to live here for a while and your wife's also from here, what is something that you hope to see for the community of Margaree?
Margaree kind of has a lot of what I'm looking for, and I would say we're part of what the community maybe needed, which is, an influx of young people coming back, having kids here, the school's filling up again. I think the last 2 years have been the largest class sizes they've seen in a long time.
Wow.
That's all we need is, we've got the community, the people are here, you want your kids to have lots of friends to grow up with, and that's what's happening. Businesses like Larch Wood, I'd love to see it continue to thrive and grow, and other businesses to grow alongside it so that, people have jobs to work at, and our kids do in the future as well.
That's great. That's a wonderful, beautiful way to look at how you want the future of the community to go, and it sounds like it's already sort of happening, so that's really wonderful to hear.
I think if you think about things and try and make them happen, they do tend to happen. I didn't think we'd get here at this point, but it's amazing. I think getting closer to family and out of the city and away from screens and stuff like that was a pretty important thing.